Hello everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Frenchy, cooking and baking made easy. So today's recipe, it's about a modern aspect of a glaze for cake. A lot of people ask me, my students always ask me, Chef, how do we do a beautiful mirror glaze? So I'm going to show you how to do this glaze, beautiful for cakes, generally used for mousse of Bavarois cakes. Your cake needs to be totally frozen before you can use the glaze on it. So I'm going to show you a simple way to do it, and later on we will build on doing different colors. Also, before we start, make sure you subscribe, you change your notification bell setting, you give me a like and you share it to the world. The recipe is always under the video in the show more section. That will link it to my website where you can get a step-by-step approach and a little bit more details. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe and see you after this. So for my recipe, I will need some water in a bowl. That's for the gelatin. I will need some white chocolate, also some condensed milk, a little bit of food coloring, water and sugar. Thermometer, important. So what I'm going to do now is to soften the gelatin. So I'm using gelatin sheets. So make sure your water is cold and break down the gelatin sheet, put it in the water just to make sure they soften. Here we are, there's about 12 grams here of gelatin. Meanwhile, I'm putting my water in the saucepot and the sugar. There's about 140 grams of water and 140 grams of sugar. I will bring that to the bowl whilst this is softening. So here my water and sugar is to boiling point, but if you really look at the bottom of it, all the sugar is not dissolved. So make sure you boil the sugar until it's all dissolved. So now that my sugar is all dissolved, I can let it cool down a little bit, and meanwhile I'm going to drain all my gelatin and give it a good squeeze to it. We want to remove the excess of water. So here you might not see, but there's a little bit of gelatin left over at the bottom of my plate. Hence why I really want to drain this. I don't want to miss any of it. What I have to do now is to basically put my chocolate buttons in container. Also need to add my condensed milk. All of it. And I can add my gelatin to my sugar syrup. Still warm, so it will melt nicely. Bit of a whisk. This is to make sure your gelatin is totally incorporated to the sugar. And I can pour the syrup onto the chocolate and the condensed milk. All I have to do now is to prepare myself with a nice little hand stick blender and give it a mix. You put your hand blender to the bottom and lift a little bit. We want a nice smooth texture, and here you can add your color. I'm using a deep red. Slowly go up and down. Don't go too high, you don't want to have too many air bubbles. So my glaze is very fluid, very runny. It needs to thicken up. The only process we left here is to actually put that in the fridge to make sure it cools down and start to set. Look at that color. So what I will do is to put a bit of a plastic wrap over it and put it in the fridge until it sets. It might take about 30 minutes to 1 hour. I want it to be at 32-35 degrees Celsius just to make sure it really starts to set and we can pour it at the right consistency on our cake. So in fact my glaze has been in the fridge for half an hour. And look at the viscosity or the consistency. It's a little thicker than it was before. And the reason why we dropped the temperature to 33.2 degrees, which is a good temperature between 32 and 35. So the glaze is ready. The cake is ready. Let's pour it. Always use a tray with a bit of glad wrap, like this you can collect the glaze for excess. Go about 20 centimeters above the cake, right in the center, and just swirl a little bit. Just like this. The beauty of this glaze is once it's done, you don't need to throw it away. You can keep it in the fridge for about 2 to 3 weeks. It's only made of sugar and gelatin. All you need to do is to reheat it over the microwave and then cool it down again to 35 degrees or 32 in this instance. Your plastic, fold it over another. Just like this, and look at that, minimum wastage, ready for another cake or mixing with color. Might do that at Christmas. This recipe was really to build you up towards making fantastic cakes, a little bit different and with a modern touch. So that's the recipe for my modern glaze. That's a cake maybe I will share with you today. Or another day, sorry. It's a chocolate mud cake base, and inside that mousse, that cream, it's actually a mascarpone and vanilla cream with strawberries inside. I might cut it later just to show you how good it is. See you next time, Cooking with Frenchy. Hope you enjoy it. Have a good week. Bye.